Designing buildings is exciting. Designing the roof can be the crowning glory of the concept. It can be the fundamental pinnacle that makes the design. These days, roofs can be designed in all sorts of materials. They can be energy collectors, they can be rain collectors, but it is very important that we consider that they should be designed, constructed and maintained safely.
In this programme, we found out which recurring problems workers are faced with when constructing roofs. Peter Capelhorn explains what designers can do to reduce the risk. And finally, we take a look at an innovative design solution. – 2007 saw a 28% increase in the number of construction worker fatalities. Falls remain the biggest killer in the construction industry.
The industry has a problem. Last year, 77 people died as a result of accidents in the construction industry, and over a third of those were a result of falls from height. That's simply not acceptable, and designers can help to put that right.
It's embarrassing that the same problems keep reoccurring. We visited a construction site in central London to find out which areas cause most problems to workers within the building stages as well as in the long term. Here's what we found.
It's really important that edges are properly protected.
Edges are the most complex element of the roof. They're also the most difficult to access. There is sometimes a reluctance to allow comprehensive temporary access or edge guarding during construction. Often commercial pressures result in the building being built to the maximum height allowable by planning. Therefore, edge guarding as an afterthought is simply not an option. Plants on roofs will need regular access. Where possible, keep the plant in the middle of the building. Having a plant on the edge will be more costly in the long term. If the plant can only be on the edge, it needs full, comprehensive protection. Try to see the addition of permanent edge guarding as an opportunity rather than a problem.
Penetrations can be hazardous. They need careful consideration.
Created for stairs, services and lifts, penetrations are often right in the heart of the working areas. They can be hard to spot with the amount of activity going on site and can easily be concealed by stored materials or protection sheeting. Without care and attention, they can be fatal. However, the positioning of penetrations is key. Think about this at the design stage.
The future maintenance of the building should not be overlooked.
Often designs do not take on the realities of long-term maintenance. If a roof has to be accessed regularly, then perimeter guarding is the best solution. Use of more resilient materials can cut the frequency or even need for access. Think about using long-lasting materials. Designers should be aware of their responsibilities in this respect and present well-argued cost-benefit cases supporting this issue.
Man-safe systems should only be used as a last resort.
Man-safe systems are often the result of cost-cutting during construction. Often operatives are not trained in their use and instructions are not consulted. Whilst not directly the fault of the equipment, misuse can result in dangerous accidents. There are two different types of man-safe system. A fall prevention line restricts the user's movement and keeps them away from a dangerous edge. A fall arrest system, however, will only support a person in free fall. Fall arrest systems require planned backup support to remove the individual from their harness if a fall occurs. For obvious reasons, these should be avoided wherever possible. They are a last resort. Alternative design solutions shouldn't have to compromise the aesthetics of the building. So these are the main problems. But what can we as designers do to minimise these risks?
The sort of things that we'd expect of designers are to consider how the roof is going to be erected. Are there any simple changes that you could make which would make it easier to construct? Do people have to go on the roof for routine maintenance work? If people do have to go up onto the roof, you'd need to consider whether there are any fragile materials up there and what safeguards you put in place to prevent people falling through. These are all simple things that any designer can do, and they'll not only reduce costs, but they could save a life.
Use the CDM 2007 regulations as a guide for best practice. Also helpful are the Work at Height 2005 regulations. These set out a hierarchy indicating key areas a designer should consider for construction and maintenance of work at height. As a last resort, a fall arrest can be used, but measures to rescue people must be put in place. Suspension trauma can set in within 15 minutes and can kill in 40 minutes. Remember, a fall arrest system is often the contractor's response to poor design. Good design aims for the top of the triangle and not the bottom. You can find further information on the HSE hierarchy via a link at the end of this programme. Architect and REBA Health and Safety Advisor Peter Capelhorn believes that there are many innovative ways in which designers can take health and safety requirements into consideration without restricting creativity. He recommends using the acronym ERIC as a checklist.
We can see behind me here the Tate Modern, where the refurbishment involved careful consideration of the existing attributes of the building, the guarding around the edge of the roof, the way the plant has been positioned to make sure that they reduce the risk considerably to the construction team, the maintenance team and the cleaning team.
The roof of the Horniman Museum in South East London is a perfect example of how the need to access the roof has virtually been eliminated. Due to a simple drainage system, automated irrigation and careful selection of appropriate vegetation, designers ensured that the meadow roof practically maintains itself.
Reduction of risk is also important. Prefabrication is one way of dealing with that. Build things at low level and then installing them at high level is reducing that risk. It is the designer's responsibility to reduce risk.
Architect Luan Somachandra talks us through his design of the Colchester Institute.
The key challenge in the design of the Colchester Institute was to come up with a roof design which has minimum maintenance. So what we had to do was to design a gutter with a mesh or a leaf guard so that the leaves won't fall into the gutter. And then we had to design a clear access route right around the buildings so that in the event there's a need for access to the parapet or the gutter, a mobile crane can travel around and give the access required for the operatives to go to the parapet level.
Luan's method of allowing ample access space for a mechanical platform ensures risk is reduced during maintenance on this particular roof design. On traditional roofs, however, most accidents are a result of people falling from the eaves or slipping down the slope. Try to construct safe walkways for access. Make sure you reduce the effect of the potential fall by ensuring that the edge protection is strong enough to support a person falling on it.
The HSE's maxim is the right information to the right people at the right time. This is intensely important when regard to roofing work because any slip-ups, any lack of information can cause serious injury or death. It's very important that we focus on providing this information at the right time. A good example of this is to provide permanent information near the roof entry point before the building is handed over, to ensure that everybody accessing the roof understands completely how to behave, how to maintain, how to clean and how to access the roof safely. Control is very important when you're working at height. It is fundamental that everybody knows what they're doing and the processes they're going through are controlled. If you take the example of the gherkin, that is complex because of the shape of the building and the amount of glass. It is also very, very tall. Fundamentally, everybody involved in that operation needs to have control exercised over them to ensure they know what they're doing. That makes for good health and safety.
For further information on all of this section, visit the Working at Height area of the HSE website. Implementing ERIC in practical terms is all about clear communication to parties from the outset. Mark up professional solutions on drawings and discuss these with access equipment manufacturers and main contractors. Some options will be ruled out as impractical or too costly, but if this happens in the early stages, adapting your solution will be less complicated. Large or complex roofs may require different safety measures for different areas. Avoid a belt and braces approach. Two conflicting systems on the same roof can be confusing to operators, and that in itself is dangerous. We visited a project in Slough, featuring a roof design that ticks all the right boxes.
We were approached by a blue chip company to design an office building with an element of a wow factor to it. Ordinarily we would design a building with quite high parapets to provide guarding all the way around the perimeter of the building. On this occasion, the way we provided that wow factor was by creating a penthouse to the top floor and a cantilevered roof structure which cantilevers up to 3 meters in certain places around the perimeter. So quite a dramatic visual statement. What that did was to create immediately a problem about how to address safety on the roof.
The design solution that Phil and his team came up with was to create an inner and an outer enclosure at the centre of the roof. The inner enclosure, housing the building's main plant equipment, can be accessed directly by a lift. The exterior air handling equipment is protected by a screening formed of 50mm anodised aluminium tubing, creating the outer enclosure.
The main benefit of this is that from the moment the steelwork is installed, which is quite early in the job, the M&E contractors then have a safe working environment to put the rest of the installation together.
As well as being functional, the outer screening is an aesthetically pleasing way of hiding the bulky air handling systems.
Access beyond the screen then is limited really to the few occasions where rainwater outlets may need maintenance and or cleaning of atrium roof lines. Access in those occasions is provided by wireways which are attached to the structural posts, so that the moment one leaves this area, operatives would be trained, would have work permits and should clip on at all times.
What Phil achieved was a safe working environment for us during the construction process, as well as for our tenants after we've actually vacated. What he also achieved was a strong visual presence for this building, which is exactly what our client wanted.
If designers really are to make a difference, then intelligent solutions like Phil's have got to be the way forward. So before we finish, let's remind ourselves of a few things designers can do to help safeguard lives.
From the start of design, consider the construction sequence. Include permanent edge guarding in the design. Ensure from the outset you understand the HSE's hierarchy of working at height. Ensure any safety systems that are included within the building are specified correctly. Designers can make a difference.